Kia ora e te whānau. Well, I was going a bit nuts creating gel prints and double siding them, and I thought I better jump on here and show you what I'm doing. These, I will scan them all, but I just thought I'd show you the ones that I've already done, and these will go into the mega bundle if you've got that one for love letters and lace. That's got another side too. And I will, if you've got the come make with me, they'll all go, all the ones we use will go into each week's folder specifically so that you can find them. But I wanted to show you one of my favourite methods for getting this kind of look, and I do, even when I do my gel print tutorials, I do get some people saying it's not working. So I'll go over a couple of the things that I've learnt that really help make successful gel plate prints. I will just be using oh, there's another one. Oh dear. I will just be using 240 GSM card. I like that for my signatures. I like the way it holds up, but you can also do it on tissue paper, and if you do it this way, I don't ever have a problem with pulling it off the plate. So you are going to need some stencils, whatever stencils you have. These are my two favorites for gel printing, so I've got that one, and sorry about the ink all over it. Maybe if I put a piece of paper under it. That's one of my favorite ones as well. And I would normally just keep on repeating these, because even though I'm using the same paint colors, the same stencils, as you can see, they all come out differently, but they look like a cohesive collection. And just in case you do have a gel print, a gel plate, and you do want to make some of these yourself rather than having the copies of them, you can do that too. So I only use like middle of the range to cheap paints usually. So I've got some Liquitex white, titanium white. I've got some unbleached titanium. That is one of my absolute faves. I've got a little bit of Chromacryl burnt umber. I'd say that's lowest. I wouldn't go with poster paint. That's just one thing, I don't know, I find the texture quite different. I've got some of this folk art metallic, and I've got it in two colours. I've got the antique gold, which funny isn't actually antique, this is more antique, and this one is the Sahara gold. That one is a lot more yellow toned, goldy toned. And if I show you, so these ones here don't have that gold in them. None of these ones. The ones that do is that one. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's got a real, much more of a yellow tone. So if you want to keep them not so yellow, that one as well. Just less of it. And I know my camera's not doing me any favours right now, but if I were to go like that, you can definitely see that warm golden tone. That's the antique gold. I have cut up, shh, don't tell anyone, cut up my kitchen sponge, so I'll be using that. I have got my brayer, obviously. I have got an old book that I have taken so many pages out of it already, it's not even funny, so I'm just using that as my palette. And I've got some book pages out of that as well, because I do wipe my roller on them, but I also, when I've sponged through the stencil, I often press it onto those pages as well. I mean, how gorgeous will that be? So, or I stencil actually onto them, or I put some stencil on the plate and then I press these onto them, and yeah, never ever throw those away. What else? I have got some think you guys call it deli paper, and I think we call it grease-proof paper. So it's kind of a little bit shiny on one side and it's matte on the other. I hope that helps you identify what paper I'm going to be using, and that's just to do this technique that I want to show you guys because it's one of my faves. You get like, well, the last one I just did, I got 5 different prints out of the one setup. So there you go. So I'll just set up this workspace so that it's ready for my gel plate, and I'll be back. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stencil in a negative subtractive, which I guess is just a fancy way of saying I'm going to be taking away the paint rather than adding it in. Now, the biggest mistake I have ever noticed with my gel prints is too much paint. If you can see the little ripples of paint when the spray is going across it, then you've got too much paint on it. Let me just see if I can show you. So if I put deliberately too much paint on here, if you see this, that is too much paint. So the easiest thing to do is either spread it out. Welcome, welcome, by the way. Welcome to my bedroom, sitting on my bed, for those of you that don't know that I don't have a craft room. And then I'm just going to take my paper and I'm going to roll the excess off the roller. And then I'm going to come back and take a little bit more off because I know I had too much paint on that. Roll it on that book paper again and just one more across. And I'm really not pushing down on the roller at all. I'm just letting the weight of the roller itself roll across, and then I don't get those lines from the brayer as well. Okay, so what I was going to do, it's actually the first time I've done this, right? Excuse the crinkling. I am going to use the non-shiny side onto the plate. Just to remove some of the paint and give it a cool texture. Look at that. You could print that, couldn't you? It's gorgeous. Look at all the detail on that. Isn't that neat? So you could chuck some white or some unbleached titanium on that and go for it. What I am going to do for this one is, I'm just going to move that out of the way for a second. I'm going to place this puppy on here. And, oh, and I didn't tell you to get wet wipes. And then through the stencil, this is the negative subtraction. So this is one way to use a stencil, because I am not adding sponging into, I'm removing. And to be fair, this is my favourite way to use it, because you get less blobby paint and a nice clean pattern. So if you're just starting out with stencils and practicing using them, I'd give this method a go. I think you'll be happier with it. And then we pull that off. It looks like nothing at the moment, I know. So the next step is I'm going to just blob. Then I'm going to get a little bit of gold as well. And I'm just going to let those blend how they want to. And this, I would say, is a I don't know, medium wet pull. Like, I'm not actually going to wait until it's dry because I'm purposely wanting to leave some of that print on the plate. And because my gel plate's just a little bit bigger than the paper, I do usually wipe around the edges. And honestly, I just peel it up. And if I'm happy with it, like, that's quite interesting to me. I've got a little bit of the patterns in the stenciling coming through, but just a really interesting background page. I will pull it off, so that looks like nothing. But this is what we're actually being left with on the plate. So this one, I might use a little bit of that warmer gold because I've got some little gaps in here. And a little bit of our unbleached titanium. So the brown layer underneath is dry. It doesn't matter if that a partly pulled up layer like this that we're doing isn't completely dry. And this pull layer, this is like your glue that's taking it off the gel plate and putting it on the paper instead. I don't ever worry about the smears that I put in it because I just print right over the top of those. Or if it is a single-sided one that I'm going to cut into tags or use for ephemera, I'll usually line it with book page anyway. So the longer you leave this and the more you allow that to dry, if I let this completely dry, it would pull off the entire print like that. That's a bit intense for me. For the love letters and lace, which is why I'm getting so many layers out of it. So if I pull right now, it's very similar to the last one because that layer is still wet. So this one, I'm going to dry it just a little bit, but not enough to pull that entire print. What I know I'm using my heat gun, and you might be thinking, oh gosh, that's dangerous. That's why I've always got my hand there. It's like I say to my students in the classroom, if that hairdryer or the heat gun is too hot for your hand, it's too hot for the gel plate. Okay, so there we go. We've got more of the print coming off this time, but still, look at that grunge. Isn't that beautiful? So look, we've got that first one, that second one, and now I'm going to do one where I leave it even longer and get even more of this print off. So back in here with the unbleached titanium, let's use this gold again this time. You can see I really don't have much of a layer of paint on that at all. And I'm even removing some. Okay, pop our card back on. Wipe our edges. And I am going to dry this for a little bit longer this time, probably about 1 to 2 minutes. And I will check, do my peel back just to make sure I'm not over drying it, because again, I still don't want all of that. That's still too much for me. What I might actually do is dry this bottom section just a little bit longer so that it leaves more of the print up the top. Okay, we're going to have a check and see how this is coming out a lot cleaner now. So we've got a lot more of that print coming with it. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So if you want, you know, they look like old plaster wallpapered walls. This is just my favourite technique. So now we already have this out of one initial preparation. Now I'm going to pick up that last lot there, and you can see it's just little bits and pieces now. So what I might do is just going to put a little bit of the unbleached titanium and a little bit, teeny tiny bit of the burnt umber on top of that. Just like that. And I'm just going to mix it a little bit on there first. Just so that I don't get any blobs, real harsh blobs of brown. And then that's just a little bit light in terms of paint. Just need a little bit more. So the secret is I'm not waiting for that pull layer to dry each time. I'm just drying it enough so that it just starts to pick up some of that initial stencil that we put down. Okay. And then we're going to I'm going to let this one dry. Well, I'm going to dry it completely. So I'm just going to wipe those edges again. And if you wonder why I do that, partly it's because I don't want those solid white bits to actually sit there. Sometimes they can throw the composition of the page off if they only catch on the next print. But also because sometimes I find if it dries on the plate, you end up with the paint sitting over the edge of the substrate or the piece of paper, and often when you go to peel it off, it'll peel it off the paper as well. So I just, for nice clean edges, I like to wipe those clean. Okay, so I'm going to dry that completely, and I will come back when it's time to pull it off, because that's the fun part, watching that, right? Now, I just thought it's worth mentioning, you'll notice that I'm constantly moving my hand when I'm drying it. That's not just so that I don't damage my gel plate. It's also because if there's the layer that's on the gel plate, right, now I'm just going to turn it sideways, and you're not applying constant pressure with it, so when I'm rubbing my hand over it, the layers of paint look like this. If I'm just drying it or I'm letting it air dry, sometimes the paper is doing this, and it means that that stays on the gel plate because in between these two layers of paint starts to dry on each side and can't glue together to pull the entire piece up. Funniest explanation ever, but that's all right. Okay, so I've dried this for quite a while, and as you can see, mostly so far we've got a completely clean gel plate. Here we go. Look at that. Look at the differences that we got. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Just from applying slightly different colour variations for that pull layer. Okay, so now that I've got another 4, I tell you, this is getting ridiculous. I'm up to about 15 now, I think. I'm going to show you one more method, and I'm probably going to end up with another 15, but that's all right. That's fine. That's fine. So I am going to use this guy again, but I'm just going to take it up slightly further this time so that I've got less of that and more of these. This time I'm going to get my sponge and I'm going to get that brighter gold. I'm just going to, I might get the other sponge, save that one for the brown, and I'm just going to put some on there. Now I did used to roll through these, but I ended up noticing that I get more ink, more paint on the actual stencil than I do on the actual gel plate, because the brayer finds it really tricky to get down into the pattern. Obviously, because it's a flat surface, it's rolling across the flat surface of the stencil, and I'm not well, when I pull this stencil off, you're going to notice that it really doesn't look like there's much on the gel plate at all. And I'm not doing the same thickness everywhere. In some places I'm going quite thin with the gold. I think that just helps it give that look that I really love of the peeled old Venetian plaster walls or ripped wallpaper. And I have left some areas too that don't have much at all, and you will see why in a second. So when I pull that guy off, you'll see it looks like there's not much on there at all, and that is on purpose. So I'm going to dry that layer properly, and I'll come back. So this is also why I use the sponge now more than I use the roller, because if I had to use the roller, it kind of, if you push down too hard, it kind of pushes the paint into the corners of the pattern, and you can't get this lovely solid gold and then going off into nothing and fading out when you're using the roller. You just haven't got as much control. Now that method obviously was positive additive stencil method, and so is this layer going to be. It's going to be positive additive, whereas the one we did in the last one, like I said, was subtractive. Honestly, everything disappears. So I'm just going to put a little bit of brown on my book cover. And I'm just going to be using the sponge, and I'm just going to put this in the areas that I haven't got stencils. Very seldom as well do I actually overlap stencils. It doesn't mean you can't, it's just something that I don't often do, because I find it looks more like that look that I'm going for. And again, I'm not going heavy with the paint. It looks like I am. But if it was a roller, it would honestly be a lot heavier than this. Just trying to balance the composition here so that we've got this patterning in quite a few areas. Especially if we fold this piece of this gel print in half. Maybe just a little bit down there. There we go. And maybe a tiny bit up there, just on the edge. There we go. And I want to dry this one properly as well, so I'll be back. Okay, that's dry. So what I want to do, I'm just going to put that on my book cover again, and I want to cover my roller, but I don't want that much paint on it. So I'm just going to wipe some of it off, because I just want, see this really cloudy, really light layer of white. That's all I want on there. and I need to dry that. And now I'm going to just dot the different colours. A teeny tiny little bit of the dark brown as well. I might actually put it into that titanium white so that it doesn't wipe out my stenciling too much. And quite often, if you've got that layer dry, I will, as you can see, I'm just going around in circles just to blend that paint together a little bit. Because if you get a brown blob of paint on your brayer, it stays there. It doesn't really matter how much you move the paint around after that. Okay. And I am, for this method, going to dry it completely and only get the one pull out of it. Honestly, if once you have the success of a couple of good ones, you'll be there for hours using all your cardboard up. Okay, now you can see there are a couple of little bits left, but that'll be fine for my next print. There you go. So that's what that one looks like. I'll pull it up and give you a close-up. So there's two different methods, and you think, she didn't go nuts, she only did a couple, but oh my goodness, now look how many I've got. And oh, that one is a blank. Still going. And they all are slightly different. They're all absolutely original. And half of those are also double-sided. So that one there actually, it didn't have a lot of contrast to it, just the way that I'd done it. I just started off and I wasn't having a great day with my gel printing. So I've just got some Stays On and my script stamp, and I have just put some script stamping on there as well. So there you go. I hope that that helps. I mean, I have used the same paints through this whole thing, and look, that is just a difference in the combination of those 5 paints that I've got as to how different they come out, and whether you use more of the brown or less of the brown. It's crazy the different tones that you can get. Same stencils, same everything, all the way through. And then you've got, you could make a whole journal, couldn't you? Easy peasy. But those with book pages or ledger pages and interspersed in between them, awesome. I love it. So if you have got a gel plate, or you're considering giving it a go, or you haven't had luck in the past, just remember, I mean, those all worked, okay? And I know that there's two different things. Either when you pull it off, your paper starts tearing, or when you pull it off, it's almost tearing it off in parts. It's just your drying and how thick the paint is. Those are your two biggest things that help success with gel plate printing. Just nice thin layers, it's all you need, as you can see. So please let me know if you give that a go. Jump on my community tab. I'd love to see some photos of the results that you get if you do give it a go. So there you go. That is going to be in Love Letters and Lace, that beautiful stack there. The mega bundle will have the new collection with all of them in it, and as we use them, I'll make sure that I'm putting each digital into the folder for that week when we use it in the make for the Come Make With Me folder. Alright my lovelies, until next time, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for being here. Mā te wā.